Here we are, it's almost 7 a.m., unable to sleep, which means, once again, unable to get food. And I thought I was going to get the two prelude turns in one video, but I probably highlighted too much on individual plays in session 9. It's hard not to, especially when you're looking at a new system. Anyway, I set up my draws for this turn, and I had a kind of surprising impact, which is the entire deck gets drained for both players. From a certain point of view, I kind of don't like that. That means that you can absolutely predict by memorizing the deck. Small decks are problematic anyway, and we're starting off with a very small deck. But it also does mean that the game will stick closer to the designer's intention and reading of history. You know, you're not throwing a lot of randomness in, right? But I expected between the core cards. So what it does mean is that every prelude card gets played, is basically the thing. And every core card gets played, one way or another. Anyway, we're on to the strategy phase. There's nothing special here. We start with the Barbarians, unless I'm confused. I'm confused. There's an exception. The Roman player could take an option to play a campaign card immediately. We'll look at the Roman cards. We got Allied Fervor, a battle card. Okay. Eldest Son, activate a Loyalist Empire. He receives 8 action points. Okay. That's so my current Emperor has 2 as his command, so he would get 5, so this is a richer movement for him. Barbatio, place the Barbatio leader and 2 Loyalist CU in any Loyalist space, then activate him using the card's OP. So you can use this for 2 points if you have something else you need to do. But this is interesting, and I think in order to understand it, you want to have, I have Bonifacius out of order. In order to understand it, you want to have this available. And it would be kind of nice to know which leaders are going to be available. I'm going to put him there just so that I can look at him. He's not that impressive, so I might skip him. But that means he won't come back in, right? Traitor's Head. Play during a battle involving Roman leaders on both sides. +2 to the battle roll. If any emperor participates in the battle, Roman player wins ties. Okay. Nice. Now, you know what I missed? So, these say remove after play. Technically, I'm checking which ones I played as events. These were played as events. Technically, they would come out. I'm not sure if there's a way that they can get reshuffled, but I'm going to toss them over into my discards, and I'll do the same here. I got to be careful about that. Again, the font is making it difficult. The Road to the Throne was played for points, so it does not get removed, but it will get removed at the end of this turn. But maybe there's a card that allows you to dig into the others. Place 1 Usurper CU with the Usurper later. This got played for its event. So, you know, there may be something that lets me pull out of the discards. It would have to be sitting in the Barbarian side. Let's take a look at what their cards are. There's no campaign card here. I don't have that option to jump in. I don't think I would take it either. I can't go chasing into the Eastern Roman. Alemanni Threat. Place the Alemanni tribal marker and 4 barbaric CU in the Magma Germania space. Gain 3 plunder. Or do something. Barbarian allies. Eliminate up to 4 Barbarian CU. Then place an equal number of Usurper CU with the nearest Usurper leader. This is probably a really terrible idea. Right? You're trading a couple of a 2-point card for destroying Barbarians, which you're going to have later in the turn, or later in the game, and giving them to a Usurper who may likely end up being the Romans again. We saw all the Usurpers got converted last time. Eliminate up to 2 allied CU in a single space. Well, there aren't any allied. And this is core. And then place an equal number of Barbarian CU with the nearest Barbarian leader or tribal marker. It's a nice card. Usurper Emperor. Target a loyalist leader in Britannia, Hispania, or Africa. Any loyalist leader if target's not available. He flips to his usurper side, and that triggers a whole usurperage. That's appealing. That's very appealing. I believe that'll convert the whole province. Do I want to do that first thing? Well, it seems even more powerful if I do it late in the turn, right? Place the picked tribal marker and 2 Barbarian CU in the Caledonian. So now this is interesting. If I don't play this, the picts don't come. Same thing with the Alemanni. They don't come. They're not going to get reshuffled in. These are prelude cards. Trouble on all borders. Gain 3 ops for raid activations only. Double all plunder gains this impulse. We haven't had any plunder. I haven't done anything with the Barbarians. Emptying the except this one little advance. There should be a plunder. I took this. There we go. Glad I thought of that. Okay, and this is a 1-point. But it allows me to gain 3 ops for force march activations only. I don't know how big a deal that's going to be. I don't have a lot of units that I want to move around. But force march, see if there's anything special about it. That can only be used with loyalist usurpers and allies. Yeah, that's what I thought. So I'm not going to be able to do that with my Barbarians. Unfortunately, it's like a 1-point card, isn't it? Yeah, because otherwise it's 3 ops. You wouldn't want... Okay. So what do I want to do? Let me think. At the beginning of my decision making on the last video, I want to make more tea. I'm going to put these here. Know where I'm at. Open up by putting the Pictish tribe up there. It gets an extra 2 CU and a plunder. And the card goes away. For the Romans, placing some limes down seems like a really good idea. First of all, I've got this space which is not covered. Now the fortified town is, but I'm going to cover that just because. And then I've got Scotland covered up there, but I don't have this at all covered. So I'm going to put somebody down here at Gibraltar. This is a core card. It's going to come around each time. It's a big 3-point card, but I feel like blockading the Barbarians is a good idea. Now, I don't know what to do about this usurper. First of all, he's not on the board, and secondly, he's big. I have a force of 5, and there's not a hell of a lot near me that I can bring in to counter him. Now, obviously, I'm kind of blundering through the game. First play, whatever. Don't know what the cards are. Kind of don't want to know what they are. I know what history is, and I know what I'm likely to face, but not all that well. And yeah, so this was kind of surprising to me, although that wasn't a card. That was through a rule, which I should have been aware of, right? Anyway, back again. it often, with a lot of these games, it often takes a play or two before you really know what you're doing. And unfortunately, I play things once, and that's probably it. The other hand, I kind of like that, because not knowing what the threats are is actually part of the pleasure in terms of making decisions and whatnot. It's just, I also feel kind of a little frustrated with I mean, here I should have known there was a rule for it, but with the cards and whatnot, yeah, I'm a little less upset about. The Barbarian player is also going to bring the Alemannian. That was 4 CU, and I get 3 plunder for that. I got a card that increases plunder, but only for that activation card. And this again goes away. Romans, I have some serious problems. I look through my cards. You know, the one card I could play, it was easy in terms of what I need to know. This faithless subordinate flips all usurpers in a single space not containing an emperor in each space in the same province. It replaces usurpers by loyalists, changes control to loyalist. This would be really valuable as a reaction to possible cards he might have. It's also a shitty-ass card. I'm assuming I have a use for it, so I'm going to hold on to it. Is it my last card? I don't know, because I have others that are interesting. Border Patrol allows me to intercept raiders or a leader's force without huffing, sending a single strength point in to intercept. That can be useful in defending the limes. This is an iffier card, but it could still be useful. Traitor's Head, if I win a battle, I get or if I fight a battle, I get +2 to the battle roll, and win ties if there's any emperor. That sounds really important to me for fighting this if it comes out to it. Barbatio, you know, there's no place that's just calling out and saying, I want to activate this guy, right? He's not that bad. You know, he's got a +2 military rating. He's an iffy card for me. But he could, you know, be placed somewhere like here or somewhere else in the back. He's going to get 2. He's a 3-point leader. A 2 means he misses by 1, so he drops from 4 to 3 activations. What could I do with 3 activations somewhere? There's nothing bigger than this that I could bring into line. And I don't really see him doing a lot of damage up into Germania. Yeah, I could go take a cultivated space in Germania, but I'm not going to hold Germania. I'm pretty sure of that. I could place him down here to do something. Probably here so that I get the battle bonuses. Eldest Son. Activate the Loyalist Emperor, give him 8 action points. That's huge. Normally I would only get 5 with this card. I want to hold on to that. Allied Fervor, +1 to battle roll, +2 instead if allies are involved. So, because I have the Traitor's Head, which is more powerful. But this is a battle card. I can't use it for activation and get the event out of it. And so these 3 I'm going to turn over and say I'm not going to use them yet. I want to hold on to them. But then with these, or any of these, what do I have that I could do that's of use? The reason I'm putting the Border Patrol on the so-so level is that I have a pretty good limes system everywhere after that one card. So that's kind of appealing. The Allied Fervor, that would help me if, like, I wanted to launch an attack here against the Picts, which is one of the things I'm considering. I'm looking at a 4-point force going over rough terrain, though, so I don't get the advantage off that. I'm going to have to look at what the interactions are, but if I can take this space, I would own Caledonia. So that looks really appealing. So let's say I played Barbatio. That would give me 3 movement points to go into there. But And this is one of the things. So a lot of the CDGs that this is kind of based off of have a very limited number of rules in terms of, like, you know, moving, converting spaces and everything that are expressed in a very clean sort of way. There's no clean expression here, and there's a lot of extra add-on to the system. So I do have to do lots of rules lookups, and again, because of the way the rules are laid out, I'm finding that as difficult as having read through them was. Unfortunately, this doesn't give me the points that I need. Damn it. I could win the battle, but I wouldn't get the siege. But I actually think it's the best thing I can do. So we're going to throw Barbatio away. We're not going to ever get to use him. This goes back in here, but at least we assume we're not going to get to use him. And we're going to move into here. That costs 2 movement points because it's rough terrain. We've got 4 to 4. We're not going to get any combat bonus off that. I remember the combat bonuses well enough, but we do get a +3 for our leadership. However, there are no reaction cards. And we're both on the 4 table on the combat table. The Romans get an 8 on the 4, giving 3 hits. This is going to be a 1 on the 4, causing 1 hit. So we've killed 4 of these. I think I can withdraw into the town, but I don't know for sure. And these 2 go away for a 3. Again, the counter mix, the way the number markers work. All right, I got to look up to see what my retreat situation is. I have 1 extra point, but there's not much I can do with that. Because I didn't put troops in the town to begin with, they have to retreat. Now, the tribal marker stays there, and this is under siege. If I successfully siege that tribal marker, there's no Pictish leader. I don't know if there's going to be one. I doubt it. I will destroy the Picts. I'll also end up gaining Caledonia as another province. So, all in all, this is very positive as an option, in my view. I'm going to play I'm going to play this for its 1 point. And now I'm going to finally march my force in. That only cost me 1, so I have 2 more for a siege. Now, he could take a battle here if he wanted to. That would prevent me from getting the siege off. Or he could hold it for a siege. Given his size of his force, etc. It wouldn't prevent the siege. So I'll take it as a siege. And our siege markers are all Byzantine. And then I roll on the normal siege table. And what are our modifiers here? +1 for being Roman, right? Yeah. Well, for being Roman. It's a usurper. So I get a 3. Where's the siege table? That's a 1-1. I'm not going to take the town from that. Up here, didn't I? I forgot, you get -2 action points. You get +1 for the difference in your favor, -2 for the difference not in your favor. The reason I was looking at that was I was thinking about playing a 1-point card on a 3-point leader. I'm like, oh, that'll give me, shit, only 1 action point. That's not enough. And then I remember, wait a minute, you can't do that. Why? I remembered the why, which is because it got you down to 0 and I wasn't getting the calculation, so I had to look up the roll. And yeah, I think I had to look it up anyway. But at -2 per, I played a 2 last time. That would have only given me 2 action points. That was enough to get here, fight, and yes, I would still be able to have it under siege. So I had an extra action point that I wasted, but I didn't actually have it because of that. But that means I have to pay a 2-point card at least. I should have played this in battle. I didn't do so. So I'll play it now for the siege, and I should be at +1 on the siege. And this should give me... Not if I roll that badly. Nothing happens. Great. Give the usurper the full 4 points that he wants. And that gives me a +1 on the siege roll to begin with. That uses 2 of my action points. +1 on the siege roll gives me a 3. It's a 1-1 again. This time I take the city. I don't get any points like for raid or anything out of it. I gotta lose a strength point, but what does happen is Illyricum is no longer Roman because I have taken the capital town. The decision I have to make is whether I want to go attack this and convert more towns here, or drop down here, convert that, and then have a naval move possibility. Now, a naval move takes a 3-point card. I don't have a 3-point card. I'm going to go for that with the idea that I am setting something up that my enemy might think that I'm going to go for a naval invasion, and he might have to make an attack that he's not as prepared for. I don't do that. I move forward here. This can't retreat. And now I'm on the 8 table at +3, and he's at +1 for being Roman. So he gets a 7 on the 1. He does 2 to me. I get an 8 on the 8. An 8 on the 8. Well, I wipe him out. I win the battle, but I do take 2 hits. Spend the remaining point to take the town away, the location. Do I need to do that? Is it doing me any good to do that? It's kind of hard to tell. Like, I could have continued on up into here and done some more depredation, but I just don't see, like, there's not much for me to gain anymore. I can intercept into there. That might be useful. And that gives you a combat advantage. So I'm going to do this. I'm not really having a good grasp on what I should be doing. I probably shouldn't have played as big a card, but the Usurper Emperor card is so valuable. I don't want to spend it. All my other cards are 2s. Again, if the 2 players both know the cards and have them memorized, the kind of thing sharks in these type of games will do, especially on these first, this first deck. It's pretty small. The openings become much less interesting, I think. Rome's got an ugly choice. I got no more cards except this one that could activate my siege. I don't want to do that. Now, there is a siege thing that happens on the control phase. Oh, no, I've taken it, didn't I? No, I failed, apparently. Yeah, that'll give me one more shot, and I've got pretty good odds. So, the hell with that. I'm done playing cards over there. I want to hold this, again, because I don't really know what I want to do with it. If I take this back, I get it. Like, I get the province back. And that could be very useful. And I think the usurpers all go away at the end of this. So that would get me the maximum points. Play during a battle involving Roman leaders on both sides. I hold on to that in case I get intercepted or something. Flip all usurpers in a single space not containing an emperor. Again, I'm expecting something there. There isn't anything, but I'm expecting it. Which means I have this, which I haven't really considered terribly valuable. I look for my leaders. I don't have any who are able to do anything terribly interesting, so let's look what else I can do. I can't do reinforcements. I don't have a 3-point card. I could pass. Great. I'm not allowed to pass because I don't, like, I can't pass. I'm not allowed to pass because I don't have less cards than the opponent. Which, I do have this, though. He would give 4 activations. I could sail down to here, which is less defended. 3, 4, into there. I'm moving in a plains area. This guy could conceivably retreat, but doing so would save his ass. But I don't think I want to save his ass. Does the attacker want to play a combat card here? Well, I threw away the one that would help me. Does the defender want to play a combat card? Don't have one. So what we're looking at is 2 strength points to 2 strength points, +4 to +1. +4 gives me a 6, which will do 1 hit. +1 does nothing. So we got a hit here. That will drop one of these over, and I hope I'm not like, oh shit, I bet you I'm putting Barbarians here. This falls back. This has now got to be displaced and goes back here with the leader. Now, I spent 3, 4 action to get here. I'm in a not happy place. Which it's going to cost. I don't believe I have a chance to convert this until after I take attrition, because I didn't spend the point to convert it on entering it. And that's the way the rules are written, differing from everything else. Now, what am I thinking? I don't remember. Because he's kind of handcuffed, and I don't know what else to do with my cards, I'm going to play the Usurper Emperor this time. I'm not in a friendly space, so I looked that up. I have to retreat to one of the nearest friendly spaces. So I move back up here, staying in Hispania. This is important. And now I convert all of Hispania over. If I had moved into here, I would convert everything except this, which would be kind of powerful too, but I feel like I'm going to have an opportunity to contest Africa with this unit because he's very fast and very, very good. I could have done something similar with Britannia. Well, no, I could have converted Caledonia. Yeah, that would be less effective, although I wouldn't have an enemy leader up there. Anyway, I gotta swap batteries, and then I'll change Hispania over. The Romans do the opposite. They now flip all usurper leaders in a single space not containing an emperor to the loyalist. In each space of the province not containing usurper leaders, replace all usurper CU by loyalists, and change control to the loyalists, which means Hispania just converts right back. Note that this space remains barbarian throughout. It's never changed hands in any way. I'm going to use my next force, or my next card, to activate him. Now that gives me 4 activations. I've got something of a plan. I don't think I have enough movement points to do it. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm having real trouble figuring this out. I replaced him with Romans, I was right. But I think I had Barbarians there the whole time. I'm really having trouble. I don't have a lot of pieces on the board, right? I could do migrations. Yeah, what I really want to do is break these limes. And the way I can do that, I thought, was maybe, to try to attack with him. That card would have given me 4 movement points, 1 into here. But then what? 2 to here, but any raid would be very, very painful. They have a lot of action points for a raid. A lot of action points. and I have double plunder, which could be useful. 4 from here, 1, 2, 3, 4 isn't going to get me anywhere near, and I'm going to be threatened. All right, we'll go ahead with what we were going to do. So we move in and we'll fight there. And we have 6 at +1, +3 to +1. So 4 on the 6 is going to do 2. +1 isn't going to do anything, so we take this. That was 1 action point. Do I want to capture this space? I don't think so. I don't think I see a reason to. 2. And now I siege that for the remaining 2. I've got a +1 for siege. This isn't helping. But I take it. Do I want to destroy it? If I destroy it, I no longer control it, and I'll take some attrition, which sounds good. Because I think I lose all my pieces. This for my 8 action points. I move down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to siege. I'm going to +1 on the siege table. 6, 7 to siege. This time I succeed. I've now taken control of Illyricum again for points. I don't really want to battle him because he is going to come back. I checked the rolls on that, and he is going to come back. I have 1 more point left. I don't really want to take attrition for this. I'm just going to let that go, but this is a removal. The Barbarians have 1 card left. 3 OPs for raid activations only. Raid activations, each counter I take, I'll get 10 movement points. But this is opposed, so me breaking that doesn't really do me much. I have a huge force here without a leader. I could move like 3 of those strength points on a raid. Doesn't seem terribly valuable. So I think what we're going to do instead is we're going to take 1 here. That costs me, I have 10 movement points. That costs me 2 of them. Six, 7, 8 left. I fight a battle. The Romans don't have any advantage, and they can't intercept. There's no leader up there. But we're both on the 1 table. 2 on the 1 doesn't do shit. 4 on the 1 will kill the Barbarian. Alright, that's 1 of my 3 raid activations, or 3 OPs for raid activations. My second one, is that necessarily a wise place to go? No. I'll come down this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. So instead of 8, I'm at 6. And I again have a dice off. And I'm killing off my barbarians in a way that doesn't feel terribly valuable. Okay, so I got a 2 on the 1 table. They got a 2 on the 1 table. Romans are defending. I'm defeated. I would retreat back to here, but this is a transit point, so I pop back. My third one, and I can't do this guy again, whoever I just did. I think it was this guy. My third one will be this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, I'm at 6. Yeah, that's the location I want to be at. I might get lucky. This is really the most I can hope for because the plunder being doubled means I could get some decent points there. I get a 5. I cause 1 hit, but they cause a hit. So that doesn't really help me either. It was really unlikely I would get anything out of it. And this is out of play. And that gives me the last of the Roman counters cards, which is the Traitor's Head. I thought about sieging this. I got 1 point. What can I do with a 1 point card? Not a lot. I could force march. Is this the capital? No. What does force march do? Number of CUs up to twice the ops rating of the card. And it gets 6 action points. Yeah, I'm going to force march here because I get more troops there. 1, 2, 3. And that's it. And that doesn't use that. Oh, jeez, I'm out of battery again. But that one claims it's done. It's not. I actually have a situation where the attrition table comes into play, which is up here. I haven't taken this yet, so I have to roll an attrition check. How many CUs are in that space? It's not a lot. It's 3. And if I don't survive with all of them, I don't get a siege roll. I don't survive with all of them. Which means we go back to a 2. These Romans. I'm having some difficulty telling a lot of things. My brain is not very good. Okay. That's attrition control. Place PC marker in occupied, unfortified spaces. Conduct siege in each besieged by 3 or more CUs. There's nothing. Isolated usurpers become loyalist. This goes away. Okay. No biggie. Migration. Barbarian player must migrate each of their tribal markers of space. That's going to put this back up here. And this gets to go 1 space. Now, I'm not seeing a weakness anywhere. I think this gives me the most flexibility. Now, there was something about a provincial capital not having to migrate, and maybe I'd be better off not migrating, but I'm afraid. I'm very afraid. Okay. Scoring. We're at 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 provinces, which means Rome again gets 2 points. Wow. There's no automatic victory the other way. But we're getting close to doing too well, I think. And then reinforcements. Each player receives reinforcements. Now, this is where we have to look in the playbook. I am never sure about scenario rules being in the playbook. Always been kind of iffy about that. But here, during the reinforcement phase of A, we did that. During the reinforcement of A, if there's an emperor of the usurper and no other emperor at Constantius, yeah. A loyalist. During the victory point phase of B, remove all emperors, and that is going to trigger the usurpation ends. Which returns these. And these guys are gone from the game. Is that all that's removed? You would think it would be all leaders. 17.23. This is a little bit of a struggle here. I wouldn't have thought that they flipped over. I've been playing it as though they do, but but when I first read it, I wouldn't have thought, because it says, when the last emperor or leader of the usurper power leaves play, i.e. during the successor strife, barbarians at the gates, or after at least one successful usurpation action has been taken by the Roman player, there should be no emperor or leader of the usurper power otherwise. Okay, that parenthetical is painful, but I get it. And it is not the reinforcement phase. Well, it is the reinforcement phase, i.e. not part of the normal removal and replacement of an emperor or leader by his successor. Well, it's not that. It's something else, and it actually calls me out here. During the reinforcement phase of turn A, if there is an emperor of the usurper power in play, no. During the victory phase of turn B, remove all emperors. See 17.23 for the usurpation ends rules, which feels like that should trigger this emperor elimination, but I'm not sure. And this is not covered in this. This is part of attrition, which is completely different. So there's no example of this. I guess I go upstairs and look at the rules again. Yeah, the errata. It's a relatively large section of clarifications, errata, whatever, on the usurpation rules. And this is correct. It would eliminate it. It would have been correct anyway, because that was the last usurper leader going away, so the usurpation would fail anyhow. But it is designed for the prelude turns to end with the loyalists controlling everything. But it's important to note it happens after the victory points are collected, so I could have been deprived Illyricum by that piece. I also noted, as I was looking for this rule, that the card that I had kind of a question about that wasn't resolved, that's actually in the clarifications. I handled that correctly as well, so that's cool. But now we do the rest of the reinforcements, and what we get here is Valentian, Gratian, Theodosius the Elder, and Magnus Maximus. But it really feels like these leaders are just going to clutter up the board and be all over the place, like they're never going away. My tea is about to boil. I had to swap teas while I was up there, so I'm gonna have to look this up and figure it out. But it really feels to me like there are going to just be more and more red leaders on the board as the game continues. I can't think of anywhere to look to find anything about that out. Now, it's okay in a sense. It's not like this is always, that Sylvanus is always alive and everything. Rather, it's an abstraction of other leaders who are coming into play. But remember, when they get knocked out or whatever, they get thrown into the displaced leader box and they just keep coming back. I guess there's going to be more and more barbarians, so there's going to be more for me to do with leaders, but it feels a little weird. There's a great deal of leaders here. I may have made a mistake by not taking that leader from the event card, right? That may have been kind of problematic. And then here the leaders get swapped in and out and whatnot by name. And those are, imperial leaders. So I think this is correct. I'm not sure. Anyway, for reinforcements, each power receives reinforcements. I've got to look that up. I believe it's one per province and per provincial capital, and the tribal values of the tribal spaces. We have, this won't help us. I was thinking I could look up here and see how many I have, but there aren't control markers for things like this because they can't swap sides, which kind of disturbs me. Kind of wish they were. Just as a matter of, that would be a helpful device for me to know, because I've got them tagged, right? For me to know which ones I need to replenish forces for. But by not doing that, like the Picts are gone, but this guy is here and I've got no note there. All I've got is one that's marked that I know I have to reinforce. Like I should be allowed to displace my leaders, you know, because otherwise I permanently have a really bad leader in Africa. I'm not going to replace him. I could. He's beginning to gather up some forces, so he might be interesting to put a better leader there. Right now, this is what I'm getting. Theodosius the Elder, or Senior, who's really, really good at fighting, and that's it. I don't know where to put him. Magus Maximus is kind of a middle-of-the-road type of guy in terms of values. But then I've got two emperors coming on. One who's quick but not very good at combat, and one who's really good at combat but not all that fast. I don't know why I have two emperors, but that's what the scenario says. And I'm really not sure. I've already deployed all the actual reinforcement forces for both sides. And it was a hard call, and I don't know how stupid I'm being. But I put Valentian here. He's my best of the emperors, I guess, overall, because he can combine fighting and whatnot, as well as command. I've got this guy over here. I'm not thrilled with that, but I want movement over here with the Illyricum leaders. And now I've got leaders in most of my provinces. Britannia doesn't have one, but there's someone up in Caledonia. I didn't get one here. It's really hard to figure out. Now, I remove all the prelude cards. I'm going to do that before, and then I will shuffle in the new cards with the discards to create new decks. I'm not going to do the next turn yet. This is remove prelude, add first wave, yeah. Turned out there's no reason why you wouldn't remove the prelude cards every time they're played. It probably would be easier than having to fish them out and then reshuffle, which I wish I had known. The other thing is, I don't really like shuffling small decks. We've got small decks again, and now the next wave comes in here, and then the next one here, and let me think about what else I had to say, if anything. I can't think of anything, but oh yeah, this was a much less exciting turn than the first one. The first one, I felt like I was blundering around, not knowing what I'm doing. I still kind of feel that way, but at least nothing too dramatic happened. Like, it felt like I didn't get to play a lot of cards. I didn't get to do a lot. Kind of comparing this to Sword of Rome, for whatever reason, because it's Rome. I don't know. Different eras, whatever. But I just feel a lot more like I don't know what I'm trying to do here, whereas the first time I played Sword of Rome, I might not know what I'm going for, whatever, but everything was laid out nicely. Of course, it's a multiplayer game and everything, but yeah, here I just kind of feel like the cards, maybe a lot of the more important cards came up in that first half for at least one of the players. And that sort of changed the nature of things. The fact that the emperors, the usurpation ended, and another force had to show up here, stuff like that, changed the nature of the game. But anyway, I'm tired as shit. No sleep yet, but we'll come back and do, I think, another turn before we load this video up. Right, we're back after sleeping until, I don't know, 7 p.m. and then playing Raid until I ran out of energy. My clan war doesn't have anything necessary, like we've lost. And anyway, for whatever that matters. We're on the first wave of the invasion, And I feel like I have to kind of look at the cards. I'm going to look at the Roman cards first because they have a campaign and may want to play it, although I think they don't. Campaign is not terribly effective. I got kind of a problem here. I've got a siege going on, but I only have 2 strength points. And I can't do like a forced march or something. So I've got actually no way to get additional forces up there. I think I have to abandon it. Last turn there was a chance that I wouldn't suffer attrition. Anyway, I have the Lime's card. I really like this. However, I'm not sure I terribly need it, although it might be helpful in Africa. And I could, of course, place it somewhere else. Place another one somewhere else. It gives me a Castra and a Loyalist CU. I could strengthen some of these borders against, especially against the German, the Alemanni. I do have a major campaign. I can't figure out how to use it though. You know, not overall. I'm used to using campaigns in these type of CDGs. It's just right now I don't have anything to face, so I think I'm going to end up passing with the Romans. But let's just keep looking. Limited settlement. I'm kind of iffy on this. It can prevent a problematic situation. You convert a barbarian CU and give up a space and turn it allied. It doesn't create a tribe, so it doesn't cause any tribal reserve problems or anything like that. So it's probably pretty safe. You're giving up a space to allied control. Activate a loyalist using this card's OPs. This impulse, the AP cost to gain control over spaces is reduced to 0. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And the AP cost for siege attempts is reduced to 1. This might be a very interesting choice. There's not many places where I want to regain stuff. Like here, I've lost something, and up here, I could gain Caledonia. Allied Fervor, a battle bonus. Place a Loyalist CU in up to 2 Loyalist provincial capitals. Always useful. And then Border Patrol, I have the opportunity, if there's a raid. Is it just raid? Well, no, against anything. To just intercept with a single CU, but it really is most effective against raiding. To create some additional battles. Let me take a peek at what... So I'm going to pass the option. Let me take a look at what they have. Frankish invasion. Put a Frankish tribal marker, 6 barbarian CUs on Slavicus, Treva, Teutoburger, Lachnau, or Magna Germia. Teutoburger gives me up here. Lachnau puts me here. Was Thurgeon in there? It was not. Slavicus is way up here. That doesn't seem terribly likely. The Franks don't have naval capabilities, although I could pick troops up as I come, which could be useful. And that's it, I think. Alright, so that's a real good option to begin with. Young Warriors, eliminate up to 2 allied CU in a single space. Then place Barbarians there. That's kind of cool. Play when Loyalist CUs are moving along a rough connection. You can eliminate some. This doesn't require there to be any forces or anything. It kind of feels weird. Jutes! Place the Jutes. Jute commander leader and 2 barbarians on Slavicus, Treva, or Roskilde. Slavicus and Treva, Roskilde. Okay. So that's kind of good. I like my invasions. Enemy leader wounded. Reduces the opposing commander's tactical rating to 0. But it doesn't, like, kill him or anything. It'd be kind of cool if there was an enemy leader killed. Like, there's no way to get rid of these markers. And they last forever. Play when placing an under siege marker. Eliminate a number of besieging CU equal to the number of besieged CU. Yeah, this is kind of cool. And then the Alemanni invasion. If not in play, place the Alemanni tribal marker in the further east zone. Then place Clodomer and 4 barbarian CU on them. So I think the if not in play reserves to If I don't have the tribal marker in play, yeah. The placement of the Alemanni tribal marker is that. But Clodomir and the 4 Barbarians, I think I'm allowed to do no matter what, but I'm not sure. This is a, let's see if it's here, and I think I'm going to have to run upstairs and check the cards again. I don't remember where this is. Paging through, where is the cards? At least there's an index. Card clarifications, 27. Yeah, I thought it was far back. Okay, what is this? This is Alemanni. Not in here. Maybe I'll try a pencil again. I know that I've gotten a pencil to work on one glossy sheet. Fortunately, it's not in there. I didn't try the pencil. You know, there's 4 pages plus of errata. Printing it out would be the most reasonable thing, but still, having to do lookups into that much errata is painful, right? And then the idea of copying enough of it down. I feel like what I want to do is just go with my instinct here. For example, if I read this clearly, if not in play, comma, and then the period comes down to here. So as far as I'm concerned, the if not in play applies to the whole thing. That's how I would read it strictly. How reasonable is that, knowing my history? Well, the Alemanni were here early. Putting them in the further east box seems a little, at least I think they were. I mean, it's hard to tell because I'm trying to figure out the time period and everything. But it feels like me having played that one card shouldn't destroy me playing this card's additional advantage, which is the Clodomir and 4 Barbarians CU. And my instinct just tells me these are meant to be 2 separate things. The if not in play, place the tribal marker in the further east, period. In either case, place should be what it says. But as it stands, I would say this event essentially is a non-event. It can only be played for points, the way it's actually written. And I think that's a mistake. Given the amount of errata in the game, I wouldn't be surprised if this one hadn't been caught and should be fixed, along with a whole lot of other things. So honestly, I'm just feeling like I'm going to make my corrections as I fucking please. It's my prerogative, man. To try to make the game work, you know, a little bit better in terms of the historical situation, as well as certain play concepts. The designer was kind enough to respond, which, you know, given my 5-hour intro, where I'm piecing through the rules, that was, and very nicely, where, you know, he said he wanted to consider the idea of trying to do something else with the examples. That brought 2 things to mind. One that I had forgotten about. But one which was how this game kind of came to be, that this was his first design, but it wasn't published for a long time. That leads to a lot of interesting conjectures, right? That it was almost ready and everything, and there wasn't really the same effort put into a newer design that's in rougher shape in terms of getting a developer on board and whatnot. I blame Compass for it. I absolutely do. Like, the leadership at a company should not just, but they may have had their own reasons for this kind of decision of, yeah, you know, we think this is a pretty good design, and we didn't look at it all that carefully, but we've got a slot that we need to fill in our production schedule and all kind of shit like that. All kind of stuff that should not, you know, cause a game to get printed ahead of time. But there's business realities and whatnot. It does not release Compass from the error of letting something that I feel was unfinished or unpolished, the game is complete, from making its way out to players. And it doesn't change my mind in terms of how I'm going to treat Compass from now on. They are no longer something I buy from on pre-order. I wait a couple of years. If something gets great ratings or whatever, I'll buy it from their backlog, assuming it doesn't sell out, but usually they keep things on backlog for a while. If it does get lousy ratings, that doesn't preclude me from buying the game, right? I've bought a couple of things that had really lousy ratings, but I tend to pick them up. Of course, this may not be an option for me anymore for my own reasons, but I tended to pick them up on the used market when they're selling for like $10, because people look at it and say, this is just too much of a mess. So some games that I'm very interested in that I think may have great ideas and such and something along this line might well get a used market reduction that I find available. I find more enticing. Now there was a second thing. Shit. So I went into the first thing, the thing that I had forgotten or not. I don't know. Oh God, now I'm lost. Shit. I knew I couldn't get them both out. I knew I would lose one thing or the other. This is why I don't design games, obviously. I'm too disorganized. Maybe I got through them all. I don't know. I'm indeed playing the Alemanni invasion to booster their forces. That puts them over 10 because I picked up some guys along the way. I think you're only allowed to pull 10 with a leader. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look that up. Which, yeah. Luckily it's on the cheat sheet. That's very helpful. Trying to remember something. Again, my brain is just not working anymore. Humans play the Limes to increase some of the defenses against the Alemanni, but they also place here. I feel like having this thing in it is of a great deal of value. I can focus my forces in Europe against this. Of course, my best leader is like permanently in Spain now somehow. That's life, I guess. One thing about this, going in kind of the reverse situation, that reminds me, with the way that the, there's all these different barbarian tribes coming in, whatever. And I'm really not sure why it's at all. But it's reminding me of Geronimo for some reason. But going in the opposite direction. So, one of the problems is, this guy is not terribly useful. He's got a huge initiative rating. And I do not have a huge number of cards that can move him very well. A 2 will give him 2 movement points, which would get me to either of these dots. Great. Not at all useful. So I really need a 3 to be able to even launch an attack and break into the Limes. Which means, and I need a 3 to move the Jutes by sea over into Britannia, which actually looks very appealing. However, I'm going to continue to create problems by playing the Frankish tribal marker, and I'll try to figure out where I want to put him, but I want to put him so that he's threatening something over there. I choose to place those in Teutoburg. This is more valuable, I would have, in the sense that I would have been able to punch through here more easily. Of course, I can still move up this way, but because he's a little faster. But I get an extra strength point here, and I see that as advantageous in certain ways. I'm still not sure what I'm doing in terms of a plan. I'm bad at planning, and this CDGs don't force you to, in the way that like the series I've been playing recently, the Levian campaign, forces you to like do all this kind of pre-planning. But like in any game, you're better off pre-planning. there are games that kind of allow you to get by without pre-planning a lot better. And things like 30 Years War and the CDG variants that really, really help you. Here's one of the things. With these tribal forces, if I don't play them, they're going to go in the discard. I don't know how many cards I have. Knowing these numbers might be helpful, right? The second wave comes in there. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I'm going to go through the entire deck again, which is kind of a little, it almost feels like it's programmed that way. So that there aren't excess cards, but if there were excess cards, I wouldn't know when I'd get those Alemanni back again, right? They might be delayed for a long time, depending on the composition of the deck and whatnot. And by not bringing them in when they historically come in, I may be losing some opportunities. And then I start thinking, wow, I'm also like being given an option to really, really sort of like change the history in a huge way. Like if I didn't bring the Alemanni in the first turn, they would come in back here. But what if I don't bring them in now? Then that goes back in the discard, and then they show up as a weaker force much, much later. So I'm controlling some stuff that feels a little weird to control. I'm not sure I'm bothered by it. Again, this is like Sword of Rome. This is at such a high level that I am less bothered by the sort of things outside a player's control type of circumstance. I feel like I'm just like a spirit against Rome or something, like not really human anymore, not making the decisions that a human would make. As opposed to when you get to smaller scale games, let's say Unhappy King Charles or something like that. I'm really unhappy myself when I'm able to control the weather or something like that. That kind of comes down to the distinction. Am I playing a wargame or not? Here I don't feel like I am. Here I feel like I'm playing something kind of Britannia-like, right? In terms of, it's very broad scope, and I simply don't feel like I'm making decisions that like singular or small groups of people are making the decisions of. So I don't know what I am anymore, right? And the level of abstraction is good with that. When I'm playing something where I feel like I do identify, much more with a single commander or a selection, a group of commanders, I'm a lot more disturbed by when they're capable of influencing things that I don't feel like they should be able to. And that's the distinction I make between wargames and wimp games, right? This, I think, is a two-player wimp game. And wimp games are, that's not a disparaging term from my mouth. It's like calling someone you love a slut, right? It's actually a term of endearment for me. It's simply that I don't feel like the simulation value, like it's trying to particularly simulate stuff all that heavily. And so controlling the mass migration of the Alemanni completely, like whether they show up or not, whether they're putting pressure on the Romans, that feels like such a giant decision that, like, I don't know. I don't identify it as that I'm making, that the inputs going in are ones that make for a simulation. It's not choices that a human or a group of humans or a government or whatever is actually making. Limited settlement for its event, and I'm going to steal one of these. Don't need to steal from here. He has too many strength points anyway, so he can't move them all. If I take one, it doesn't hurt him. But what I'm going to get is an allied CU out of this. In a loyalist, cultivated, or border space, I can put this anywhere pretty much and change control of the space to allied. So I could have put this down in Africa. I could settle some Germans in Africa if I so desire. Instead, and I know that the Jutes are coming. I know that the Saxons are coming, right? What am I going to do? Do I want to defend the border of England? I don't think it helps me because I think they can hit any of the port areas, and I can't cover them all. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put these allies, who are not as good as Romans, all the way down here. Now, what does that do for the Roman force? It gets in my way if I want to march across, though. There's like no good options, are there? Like, I don't want them to be in the line of fire because they're more likely, they're less capable of fighting successfully. Although, of course, coming in from the rough, who cares? All right, let's put it here. Let's give them this. And we give this over to now being no longer a loyalist territory, but an allied territory. I can't just walk through that now without expending a card from the tribal reserve. I think it has to be, but I'm not positive about that. But that changes the nature of things a great deal. And actually, I think that's an important enough facet. It's hard to differentiate by picture, but this makes it pretty clear. Oh, the Jutes, actually, whoa. I have to look at that Jute leader. The Jutes is Jute Commander. I bet you that's the leader named Commander. Guess we don't know who the Jutes were commanded by. So he's a 3-point leader. But as long as I have 3 points, I can actually cross. It's the 3-point sailing. It's the action point cost. I have to keep this in mind. It's the action point cost, not the card. I don't have to spend a 3-point card to play. It's hard to keep that apart because it's so different from other CDGs. Anyway, I could play this to counter that and take those troops back. I wouldn't get the territory back. It would still be a tribal. But instead, I think I'm going to play it to get on the move. That gives me 4 movement points with this army. 2, 4 gets me to there. I have to check to see if I can intercept into there. I can't. I don't have a leader. Good enough. Okay. And we're going to have a fight against the tribal force, which is relatively weak, but I'm coming in from a different direction. So I've got 6 strength points at +1. Oh, as attacker, do I want to play a battle card? I highly doubt it. Nope. As a defender, do I have one? I could get a bonus of +2 strength, of +2 to the die roll for this, but this just doesn't seem like an important battle. I have border patrol. Play even when a leader moves next to a loyalist. The loyalist intercepts. Okay. I could play this as a reaction and then the other as a battle card and have a chance. But I don't think I can fight this easily. Okay. So it's +1 for the rebels, or for the barbarians. They get a 6 at 6, which says they do 3. And we get a 4 at 1, which says we kill 1 of these back. Barbarian. I've moved in 2, 4. I don't have an extra movement point, so I can't convert the space. I can never convert the space. That 2 feels so fucking weird. Like, I feel like I should be able to spend a point to convert the space. But instead, I'll take attrition and automatically convert it, which kind of makes sense. It's just, it feels so weird to me, right? Okay. It's weird because it's so different from other CDGs. It's like, oh, this was something I wanted to mention, and this may have been the thing I forgot. The way the rulebook is organized, there's one company in all the shining history of all the war game companies out there. No, I think there's a follow-up to it, actually. But there's one company that really did some fantastic rule books, which is Victory Games. What did they do? And with a game where you're going to have this many different things that you pull out as examples and exceptions, it would be the perfect candidate for it. They had one main column, which was like 2/3 of the page of rules, and 1/3 of each page was devoted to a sidebar where they would put images, examples, and maybe a few other things, designer's notes and stuff like that. Not so much important notes to the rules. The important parts of the rules they would highlight, bold out, whatever. I found that structure very, very useful. The only other company I think's done it was the Gamers. I don't know if they're still doing it, but they certainly did in the first couple decades they were around. Now they've moved to glossy paper, and I'm not sure that they like. And I think MMP has like instituted their type. I think they're leveraging MMP's typesetting team and whatever. And I think the layout may have fallen back from what it used to be. But man, they did a really good job with whoever they had doing it. Both companies. Are there cases where there's a problem? None that I can think of with the Gamers. VG, they had some problematic rule sets all the same. Pax Britannica comes to mind, which is a game I absolutely adore, and I might adore this. But anyway, that would be a strong suggestion if you really want to pack a lot of examples and a lot of sort of information that's going to disrupt the main flow of the rules. Put it in a sidebar. I have some interesting and powerful cards, right? I'm going to play this, but we'll get to that in a moment. I've got a major campaign. That would allow me to shift up, maybe get some defenses in place here that'll help. I've got like 3 there, a 4th one here. I'm still weaker than the enemy, but I might be able to defeat him because inherent Roman advantages, attacking across that and whatnot. And I would have 5 movement points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to convert. Well, actually, I don't even know if I can enter that because that's a loyalist space. Or that's an allied space right now. I don't think I can enter it even though the enemy's in there. I have this guy that I want to withdraw from there. Otherwise, he's just going to waste away up in Scotland. I have this guy who could bring reserves up. I have this guy who eventually wants to fight, but I want to hold this off until there's more threats on the board. It's very clear that there's a number of things going on at the same time. So I'm going to hold off with that. This one has to do with gaining control over spaces cheaply. This would be really useful towards regaining a lot of stuff. It's also a 3-point card, though, and might be useful for that as well. This is useful in battle. Less useful than it was. And then the border patrol, if a hole ends up opening up, guys like this might come raiding through, so I want to hold it. Kind of wish you could hold a card for the next turn. A lot of CDGs allow that. Shit, my battery. It gives you a capability to say, I don't really need this now, but it's a really useful card. I'd rather not get rid of it. Or some kind of bank of cards or something like that. But there's a randomness to this that I do like. I understand. I understand both sides of it. And then with this one, and now another thing I might do is spend a card to move using force marches to bring some of these forces that are kind of in hell, right? They're not doing me any good where they are, up into line where the major fighting's going to be. And is that what I decided to do? It might be. So that would give me 4 CUs able to move 6 each within their own territory. 3, 4, 5. It's not as good as I want. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. Still can't get me where I want to be. Let's bring it to there. That's 1. Keep a marker because I'm having to keep track of movement points as well as other things. I got these two. They could definitely come up. Although the stupid Alps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do I want to spend this one? Yeah. 5. That's 2 more. And 1 more. Having guys on the port might be useful. Is there a singular strength point I want to move? In particular? Could take one of these. Let's break this into 2 singles. And move one of these up here. 1, 2, 3, 4 up to here. So that gets me 2 strength points up here. Still not optimal by any means. This one didn't gain anyone. And this one goes up to a 5. And I hope I'm not mixing and matching my forces. I don't think I am, but if I made an earlier mistake. That gets me a fair-sized force for a possible crossing. I'm not really thrilled about that. The other option would have been to gain a couple of strength points, which also would be very helpful. That would have gotten me one there, but it's too late. I spent this for this. I think that's actually what I intended to do, because I can play that for the event every time. And reinforcements normally costs a 3-point card to do. This is costing me a 2-point card for the same effect. Barbarians, I bring the Jutes into play. Make sure we haven't missed anybody. Picts are gone. Mark them that way. No real reason. Bring the Jutes into play over here where they gain an extra strength point. Getting those excess points feels to me like a really big deal. I'm going to move the Allied Fervor. This gives him 4 movement points. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm picking those up as well. I'll leave the leader behind. No reason to take him with me. 3 and 2 gives me 5. We take the entire army up here. And now we're attacking him even. But we've got a lot of advantages in our favor. We don't have a combat card we want to play. I don't think we have one. We have an ambush. That's not going to help here. We do have a combat card. We have enemy leader wounded. Okay. We'll play that. So the Romans are a +1. The Barbarians are a +1 for the leader. The Romans are a +1 for attacking across clear. Both are at 5. It becomes a straight dice out. 6 to 5 is 2. 7 to 5 is 3. Which means that the Barbarians win the battle, taking 2 hits. The Romans take 3 and retreat. And that's kind of a cool impact. Now I have less cards. I could pass, and I think that's probably a good idea, unless I want to land my Jutes before the Romans get to react heavily enough. My Jutes have a command level of 3. If I play this card, I can move 3. If I play the Garrison Surprised, I could move 2, or I could move 4. I think I'm going to play this. Oh, I can't do a migration. Not yet. But I can move. I don't know how overseas migrations work. I'm kind of just assuming that it follows, but I need to look it up to see how the rules actually handle that. By playing a 2, I get only 3 movement points. It costs me 3 to get across. What am I going to use this 3 card for, though? I don't know. I think I want to move the 2 card more than I want to choose what I do. So I can move across and convert, which is more valuable than anything else. What could I do with the 2 card? This guy would get 3 movement points. That's not going to get him shit. And I kind of would like to attack. All right. Oh, fuck. We got to seek something that lists all the plunder. So I'm not sure if I take something during the control phase, if I get the plunder. So I'm going to have to look that up. 19, that's probably the rule number, not the page. Get the plunder. I'm gonna just do this. This is what I want to do, I guess. I'm gonna sail over here to this space. I'm gonna put a Roman control marker there on top, just to remind me it ain't mine. It'll help. Having the control markers underneath is becoming really problematic as far as I'm concerned. Visions are killing me, man. They really are. I'm gonna play the major campaign, 3 leaders using this card for OP. Resolve combined attack at the end. Alright. 1, I want to leave this siege. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all he gets. And we have not destroyed the Picts. I shouldn't have that marked there. Have we? No, because the city never got taken. Interesting. Okay. So they come back. We should have a Pict marker then. I don't know why I thought I had them destroyed. Okay. This is not good. So we fall back from there. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's that. That's one of my 3 leaders. Second leader. What the hell, dude? You got way too much here. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5. I'm going to stop there because I get reinforcements there with Gratian. Do I get another? Do I get? I get Theodosius the Younger here, but I don't. But that's at the end of the turn, so I get to play these guys out. Each turn's about 10 years, I'm guessing. Maybe not. The time period is about 100 years for 9 turns and a couple of preludes. I don't know where the preludes fit in with that. Okay, so that's 2 of my commanders. My 3rd commander is going to be this guy. I don't want to leave this open, do I? I don't know. No, because further east is too easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why did I say I had 6? Yeah, 4. Let's have a big force here under that leader. And this is a major campaign. By doing this, I lose the card. That might not have been a wise idea. Oh. Do the Barbarians want to move again? I don't know why I did the Jutes. I have a 3-point card. That's enough to move this force, and there's like 2 places that I could go to. I'm going to pass and force the Romans to go again. Good God. I'm going to play a shitty 1-point card, which is enough for him. I could do a 3-point naval move here, a 4th move here. That used up my card, but now I get a battle against these Mari. No battle cards. I attacked across clear instead of going right across the strait, so I'll be at 6 at +4, and the Mari, their leader, gives them a +1. So they get a 6 on the 2. That does 1 damage. And what was I at? I was at +4. I'm a 5 on the 6. I do 2. So I actually wipe them out. That's good. Their leader becomes displaced, which means this has nowhere to go, and I destroy it. I took 1 hit, and this is still a barbarian controlled area. This is dead. Is this what I wanted to do? I don't know, but knocking out these, I don't expect more invasions from there, so that kind of changes the nature of my world, and I probably shouldn't have Castra there. So these guys are gone. This is gone in the dead pile. And my card is gone, and now the barbarians actually have to do something with their big 3-point card. I left an option for these big forces to operate, but I'm going to play this to move these guys, and I can take 10 of 11 of them, and we'll come down 2, 4 to here. The Romans have nothing they can do about that. This is a play once, yeah. But I can use the 3-point card and not take the advantage and keep it for later. So we're attacking at 10 to 1 with a +1. Sounds pretty good to me. Yep, we wipe them out. We don't have the movement points to do anything here. And therefore, we again put a Roman control marker there. But we'll be able to get it, and we get the plunder points for taking stuff. This was not used for event. And what do the Romans want to do about this? There's a huge fucking force. I could use a campaign, if I had one, to try to combine against it. But that ain't gonna work. Instead, I think I'm gonna activate this guy. He gets 4 movement points, 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna stop there and not use my 4th movement point. For the same reason with this, I gather another point later. Yeah, there's no 4-point pieces. So that gets me to the end. I don't remove it because I didn't play it for the event. We hit attrition. And we're going to have attrition in a number of places here. Here, we got 5 Romans. Not a good situation number-wise. I will be losing a strength point, which sucks because, again, there's no 4-point pieces. I'm worried countermix may become even more of a hindrance than it is. That's that one. I'm going to be getting control of that, so I'm just going to jump that into effect right now. I didn't gain much from this, but I did wipe out a tribe that could cause me problems, but it had already caused me problems. Let's go up here. This is 3 strength points. on the attrition table. That's going to take a hit. Drops it down to a 2. Place PC marker as an unoccupied. Yeah, I'm going to do the control phase immediately afterwards. That converts this over to a barbarian space. I'm going to leave the barbarian marker underneath because I feel like that works fine under those conditions. And I get a plunder. What kind of plunder do I get for this? Looking over all of this, I'm not seeing it. So I got to look up, I think it's 1 point. The plunder track marker is increased through raids, movement, siege, migration. It doesn't include the control change that happens during the control phase. But I did look up in the control phase and it said it did. I think it should. And I think it's 1 point. This is the only reference that I could find in the rules to it. Of course, this could take me to another place. Now, migration is going to do it too, but I think that's only if you migrate to a specific type of location. Let me just give it 1 plunder. I think that's the conversion cost. I'm tired of looking shit up. It's too hard. And it may be under somewhere in this action rules or something. All this italic script I can barely read. It causes such a headache to read. So let's go to the next one. That's here. I'm going to take a possible hit there. I'm on a 3 on the attrition table, which is kind of shitty of me because I keep being just on that 3 table. This is also going to convert, but I don't know if I get plunder for allied territory. So I guess I'm going to have to look something up that tells me plunder. I guess I'll look at movement, which is 10.2. Yeah. We got how to score VP. No, it's not there either. Like the at least 1, it would be really useful if you told me. I think what it is it's 1 for loyalist and 2 for walled cities, I think. But I don't really remember, and there really could be a place where that just is expressed in general, and it would just say plunder elsewhere. Yeah, we're going to have to find... It's not tribal subjugation. It's... I mean, I don't even fucking know. Like, it's buried in rules as opposed to being centered in a specific place. I'm going to have to look for it. I have no fucking idea. It sent me to 10.42, right? That's what it said? No. I don't know where it fucking sent me. Shit. We get the conversion. There's conversion somewhere here. Force of relieving that may spend 1 AP to convert the... Yeah, that's not it. And it's so hard to remember where things are when the rules are such a jumbled mess. Like, I'm actually finding these harder to deal with than the Campaign of Marlborough, which are among the worst rules ever written. I don't fucking know. We got, in battle it tells you, oh, here we go, conversion. Conversion is under sieges. That's not what I want. But it may tell me, as if it's not a provincial capital, 10.44, that might be it. I mean, at least there's lots of things. Moves into a wall, if a non-barbarian, no, that's not it. This isn't it. God damn me. I mean, I'm looking everywhere for something that should be in one place, definitively, a chart of how many points you get for plunder. And I just ran into it, and I told you, I remembered this before, but then forgot it, because it's one of those little rules. To go into here, which was an allied territory, I needed to get rite of passage, even though there was an enemy force in there. And I wasn't able to do it. Fuck it, I'm not going to try to undo that. And what am I looking up? Whether or not allied spaces give plunder. Such a fucking mess. The rulebook decreases the value of this game so much because, you know, unless you become addicted to the game and love it and play it again and again, you're not going to remember where everything is and what all the little modifiers are. It really needs a rewrite, and the player aid cards need to be redone. At the very least, to get rid of these fucking italics all over the place. Just the graphic design for Compass is out the window bad in terms of playability. Some of it I can be okay with, like these invisible things, but you know, and it's obvious they put a ton of money into this game, right? Hardboard, hard counters, easy to pop counters that don't need clipping or anything, decent poker quality cards. And then they spoil it all with the fonts and, oh, God. It's like, I just don't fucking know what to say. Taking control. Maybe since this is what I'm looking at. No, taking control doesn't even give you a reference into whether or not there would be any points there. What the hell? Well, maybe there aren't. Maybe I'm getting fucked because I'm taking control of things in the control phase. Where did I get this from? It's not here. Oh, I got it from wherever the victory points are, right? But maybe you just don't fucking get points when you take control of things in this way, which, I don't know. Plunder track. The plunder marker ever increases beyond the 9th point. Reduce the Roman player victory point. Yeah, that's not it. The plunder marker is increased through raids, movement, siege, migration. None of those. Always increase it by at least 1 point whenever a cultivated or walled city spot is changed from loyalist or usurper control to barbarian control. Loyalist, not allied. That's the best I've got right now. And the thing is, as the rule of thumb, that goes against, hey, what it's increased by, but again, I don't trust these rules, right? Okay, I'm going to say allies don't count because I can't keep fucking paging through the rules looking for something that's buried in, and I think it's in movement, that tells you where the point changes. Oh wait, can provide plunder. See 14.1.2. Is that where I was? 14.1.2. Raiding! Raiding! Is that where it fucking is? 1 AP per space may be changed to control to barbarian, increasing the plunder by 1 if the space was cultivated and originally loyalist or usurper, or no fortification walled city was in the space. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm finding that you don't get plunder from allied tribes, and that makes sense. However, they're more civilized, and you would still be raiding them, but the Romans don't care that much. So that's kind of an interesting facet. Here, we roll on attrition at 10. Well, we only lose 1. Lots of counters get changed. I think that's all the attrition spaces and all the control. Is there a siege still going? No. There are no usurpers. We get to migration. The barbarian player must migrate each of their tribal markers. And it's a 1-space migration. I think this goes here. I'm tired of looking shit up. Fuck it, it just goes there. I think the Franks can't stay here, so they go here. Sorry, are these the Franks? Yeah. And the Alemanni, somehow I think, may have brought their tribal marker with them? No. Here comes their tribal marker. All right. We're going to stop looking up rules. We're just going to make them up as we go. I think that's the only way to do it. Scoring. Roman player scores. Well, the Roman player scores big time. Nothing has changed. Like, yes, I've taken some little edge areas, but nothing has changed hands majorly, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 2. The Romans are up to 19 and almost out of track. They're doing too fucking well. It's not an automatic victory. Each power receives reinforcements. Okay. So this is going to get 1. This is going to get 3. I think this gets 2. And then all the Roman provinces produce as well. Over in the displaced leaders box, he should be gone. Did I kill a Pictish leader? Oh wow, some of these turn into other people. Oh no, this is a... Okay. Alright, I don't think there was a Pictish leader. Anything else? Remove prelude, add first wave. That happened at the beginning. So I think we move forward into the next turn. I'm exhausted, man. And I think the only way to play this game is to kind of sort of absorb most of the rules and fake it, which is frankly, it's the way I like to play things, but it's kind of ridiculous because when you're looking at CDGs with when you're looking at games with point-to-point movement, you're looking at a lot of exceptions and a lot of special cases and everything, and this has a fair amount of stuff. So, like, I mean, should I have just given the point there and fucked up? It would have made my experience much less painful, but it's almost like, yeah, I mean, it's just a situation of, what I was trying to say before, if you're trying to play a game for the first time, you need reasonable rules and you need some reference capability, but you need the rules to be presented reasonably. If you're trying to play it for like this, as you get into it, you need to be able to reference into the rules. Eventually, a good enough game will, and if you have too few games, which I do not, you get hooked on it, you learn it, and you don't have to look shit up anymore. But how do you get to that point when the rules are so bad and don't serve either as an easy reading and memory exercise, and they don't serve as a particularly good lookup exercise? It's just, the rule book is absolute terror. I had an easier time with Campaigns of Marlborough, which is it a less complicated game? I don't think so. I really don't think so. But it sure had a lot less rules because it left a lot of them out. But when you know that the rule's not there, when you can find that it's not there, that's actually kind of cool. It's liberating. Time to make shit up. When you know that there's at least one instance of the rule in the rule book and you can't fucking find it, and the visual layout of the rulebook is such that it doesn't help you find things. The index isn't sufficient. It doesn't send you to every place you need to. And the rulebook is filled with examples, exceptions, and notes that glare out at you. And things are kind of muddled together in places they don't belong. And a lot of it's in italics. And there's pictures and shit in it. It makes it really, really fucking hard to use as a reference book anymore. I mean, the things that this rule book, almost everything about this rule book makes it useless both to read or as a reference material. At the very least, you can look at games like A World at War and say, well, reading through that massive, verbose pile of shit is painful. But as a reference material, it's a damn good rule book. It really is. It serves as that. And you could say the same thing about Starfleet Battles once they got to the big binder editions. At the very least, they made great references. although I would actually say SFB, and for that matter ASL's rulebooks, are good actually across the board for how complex the games are. For how simple this game actually is, they have really made it as difficult to approach as possible, in my opinion. Anyway, it sure doesn't work for my way of learning. I'm going to send this up, ranting to large degrees, and someday I need to get food.